Rajiv Desai, your thoughts at the outset on whether Nirmala Sitharaman's measures will lift the spirits of the economy. She has at least come out and acknowledged that the government is cognizant that spirits are down, and she says she's working towards resolving those.
Well, Rahul, I see that the government is rattled by the steady drumbeat of negative news on the economy. That's number one. So then they said, let's do something. So she went out and did something, which is the equivalent of performing a havan to do away with the bad vibes around the economy. Because actually, if you look at it, all she ever did in her press conference was she blamed global trends, and she withdrew the regressive measures which she needn't have introduced in the first place in the budget. And worst of all, the suggestions are all bureaucratic measures. We'll tinker with this, we'll tinker with that, we'll redefine this, we'll reset that. There is no real forward movement, there's no real spark that is going to get the economy, the animal spirits going. And finally, this confirms to me that this government, since I've always argued, knows very little about policy, and especially economic policy. They are led by the nose by the bureaucracy. And that was very, very much in evidence today, as it was, in fact, in the budget as well.
I want to come to the second question I'm putting on this Economist Roundtable, and this deals with tax terrorism. We've seen that in the suicide case of the founder of Cafe Coffee Day and multiple other industrialists after that coming out and speaking about the spectre of tax terrorism. Nirmala Sitharaman announced that from the Vijay Dashmi of 2019 there'll be faceless scrutiny. So you could be in Noida, your assessor could be in Assam, she said. The refund process of GST is being simplified. There's pre-filing of income tax returns, and most importantly, CSR violations, corporate social responsibility violations, will no longer be deemed a criminal offense. Also, a lot of what would have earlier been considered an offense is now being looked at purely in the form of an economic penalty, will no longer be considered an offense. Sanjeev Ahluwalia, will that help end tax terrorism?
Yeah, I mean, look, all these are sensible regressions on a policy that was announced earlier, which was a more hardline policy, and I think there was considerable debate around it, and everybody felt they were unnecessary and a little bit over the top. So I think that all this will help, but you know, that doesn't come to the kernel of the problem. May I just add here that, you know, I think FM has done more than just perform a havan. See, what happened is that in the first quarter, budget execution, that is expenditure by the government, has been far behind in percentage terms what it was last year. So for instance, revenue expenditure was about 3% behind last year. Capital expenditure was as much as 10% behind last year. So FM has looked at the numbers, or somebody has looked at the numbers, and they've realized that the biggest engine that they have, which is public spending. We keep talking of public spending. So there's no point money sitting in the budget if it doesn't get sent out to the agencies. So she has said Cabinet Secretary will be reviewing it. That's the topmost bureaucrat. And therefore, I think there will be some movement on more money going out.
Okay, Gurcharan Das, 16 offences have been shifted to monetary penalty under the Companies Act. They're also saying it will take only a day to incorporate a company, removing the criminal offence on CSR violations. Does this help or move towards ending tax terrorism in your view?
Yeah, I think this will go a long way to creating trust. And most of all, the conciliatory attitude that she showed, I think, will also help a listening attitude. But let me just say, I have one single very major disappointment. And that is, and this comes to what Sanjeev was just saying, that really the biggest opportunity is to spend on, for an economy, the so-called fiscal stimulus is to spend on infrastructure. Now, the government in the last budget, she promised that there would be more than 1 lakh crores spent in 5 years. we assumed that out of that, 1/5 would be this year, would be 20 lakh crores. Now that's a very large amount. And what we expected, because there are doubts raised about the numbers in the budget, what we expected her was to clarify those doubts and to say, if you could you spend that 20 lakh crores? If she would spend that, that's your fiscal stimulus.